you have the same minority, organized minority, like you said in Plymouth, can steamroll whatever they want. So getting people to town meetings is the biggest issue than really moving forward with that. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I don't think you understand what you said. What you said was the representative town meeting and zero quorum town meeting would not serve the taxpayers. See, your basic misunderstanding is that they are taxpayers. They will be the taxpayers. So you're talking around. You're talking around certain things, but when you say a statement like that, and I just can't let that slide.
I never said it didn't support the taxpayers.
Right.
I said that you have minorities built within the community, and whether or not you have a representative system or you have a zero quorum system, the same people are going to show up. So the only way we're going to change that is if we get more people to go to the meeting. I'm not saying that it's not serving the taxpayers because the budget's going to get passed either way, but a parent's more inclined to go if you're trying to pass a municipal services bill than anything else. I mean, you have charter amendments to remove smoking smoking pieces in the community. People care about that, so they show up. You have a former police chief running on the ballot. It's hot topic. You have 2,500 people vote. If you give people stuff they care about, then they'll go. And when you have minorities running within the community, you really what it has to come down to is you have to imply to people and impress upon them what exactly is that it's important to get in there. It's a civic duty, and the taxpayers will be served, but to whose purpose? Is it to everyone's? Is it to everyone's purpose, or is it the people that show up at the town meeting?
Okay.
I think at the candidates night, the two people running for moderator were asked that question. Mm-hmm. How do you bring more people to the town meeting? And I know they talked about a more efficiently run meeting, more organized, maybe bringing in computers and having an overhead showing the articles. And I got from that they were saying that if people saw that the meeting was run more efficiently, more orderly, done quicker, that they might want to come out. But I think they also touched quickly on how they would publicize it. I think maybe on the town's website and things like that. So I was interested to hear them because of the 150 people that we'd be able to get.
Yeah. Okay, totally switching gears here. It's kind of a philosophical question. Somebody once said to me that one thing that struck them about Pembroke is it seems to be a town that has almost split personality. On the one hand, there's clearly fairly substantial areas of commercial development in town. But at the same time, it's a town that very much wants to retain a rural character, I think. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but do you see a way of maintaining that balance, or do you see something that the town has to look in, taking sort of what direction it wants to go and how it can maintain that particular quality of life that Pembroke offers?
Well, I think our industrial zone land is pretty much built out now, with the apartments going in off of Oak Street. That's the last big parcel of industrial property. I was on the planning board in the 90s when Corporate Park was being developed. And I was on a neighborhood committee who wanted to make sure that the planning board heard our concerns. There was a lot of talk, a lot of wild talk about never being able to get out of your driveway, and there'd be so much traffic going down Oak Street. And so the planning board took our questions and our concerns, and they developed a pretty good corporate park. I think it's worked out fine for the neighborhood, and my property abuts it. I'm also across the street from the other industrial part of town, the Pembroke Hospital and the apartment buildings. And you're right, there's an awful lot of that. But we have a lot of other areas, and now that we have the Community Preservation Act, we get a pretty good piece of change now from the taxpayers Unfortunately, the state keeps dropping their contribution, but nevertheless, they're giving us 35%, I think, now. And that money is being put to good use with the historical buildings in town, which are in need of repair. And so we are using taxpayer money to do that, but the taxpayers voted to do that. Now, they take 1%. They could have gone to 3%. They could have gone, I think, as low as 1/4 of 1%, but they chose 1%, and we are doing an excellent job with that. So I'm hopeful that that's going to continue. I think it costs me $30 a year, and I'm very willing to give them $30 a year when I see they get $250,000 or so at the end of the year. And we're going to get some things done that we're not going to get done. And we have a lot of historical buildings in town. And of course, the other thing with the Community Preservation Act is open space is a big objective of that. So I think there are things in place that's, that's going to keep the town pretty much the way that it is, except the unfinished development in Pembroke Center. I've seen the plans for that. I know Dan was very involved in that. And the planning board, I thought, did an excellent job in planning that out. If you go through that now, of course now it's terrible looking, but let's say a couple of years ago, you go through there, you take your life in your hands driving into that parking lot. And the buildings are not really nice looking buildings. And they have no store there, food store. Now, when I saw the plans for that, I couldn't believe it, how beautiful it was going to look. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that thing go. So I think the center of town is going to be more developed, yeah, but I think the way it's going to be developed is going to have a positive.
Okay. Okay, how about
I'd rather play an anchor on this question.
Sure. Go
You
ahead.
want to shoot it over to him first?
Sure.
Well, I mean, it's really beauty versus business. A good friendly friend of mine a few years ago tried to start a deli on Route 53 nearby the Stoneworks. He got all the permits in place, had the place built, looked fantastic. And, it was real nice. And, every week he'd come to the selectmen's meeting, talk to them, and they'd just give him another permit, another hoop to jump through. And eventually came to the point where it was over minor beautification processes and he ran out of money. He told them that if I have to put this in, then I'm going to go bankrupt and I can't do it. And and they told him to. So he had to shut the whole project down over, some shrubbery in the front of his building on Route 53. We really need to support small business in the community, even if we don't have the districting for it. It's a not in my backyard mentality, but as long as it's not affecting anybody, it shouldn't be really a big deal. And look at the center of town project. Try driving through the center of town on a Saturday morning. I live down Elliott Ave, and whenever I drop the street, I always have to come to a police stop in front of the post office because people don't obey the stop sign, and I'm looking to get into an accident. And then you sit there for probably like 15 minutes trying to take a right or left turn. And really what it comes down to is you're going to have to widen streets, open up water mains, and this all takes time, it takes money, and it takes aggravation from the residents that drive through the center of town. As long as it gets done, in a way that makes the center of town look good enough, it's fine with me. But there has to be a balance, and that's really what it comes down to. Is if it looks nice and it serves the function in which it's put in for, perfect.
Okay.
But otherwise, we really have to find a way to make Pembroke a place that really attracts small businesses.
Okay. How about Dan? You said you want to put an anchor on this, so be my guest.
All right. First, your first general question about there's a statement that there is a lot of businesses in town. Pembroke really doesn't have a lot of businesses or industrial space. The key spaces are in the North Pembroke area, Corporate Park, and the other section where now is residential apartments. Unfortunately, those apartments that area was the last large industrial commercial space in town. And now it's apartments. And that's what's sad about it. Not sad that we have affordable housing, which is another topic. It's just sad that